mayor against the city. In this update, the question is the condition of city streets.
And the question is, what could be done to improve our local streets to fully pave them out with curbs, gutters, and sidewalks? It's not my question. I'm just
well, you just heard the boo. Let's explore streets and what it means to us. The city, and let's not just say the city. Cities across Arizona have had a dilemma over the last 10 years. Maybe it's 12 years actually. 1.4 billion. Yep, that's right. With a B. 1.4 billion has been swept by the state of Arizona so that they could balance their budget, leaving citizens like you who paid that gas tax to come back to your city to pave our roads high and dry. That's exactly what happened. This year, they didn't sweep the traditional $120 million. They only swept 90. So we're making progress. But the fact of the matter is, we're going to have to improve our streets. And, I've already have a plan to reallocate some of our resources because we can no longer count on the state. We were counting on the state. We thought this was a year that a new leaf was going to be turned over and we were going to have an opportunity to get that full amount of your gas tax. It's called HURF, Highway User Revenue Funds. But since, in my view, it's clear that as hard as we push, we're still only going to get a little bit of it, we may as well just plan on putting it in our own budget and improving our streets. Now when it comes to curbs and sidewalks, all I can say is that for those who want it, great. They do cost about $250,000 a mile because you have to widen the street before you can do anything. But my reading from this community is they're not too interested in a lot of curbs or sidewalks or street lamps. They want the night sky, and I certainly understand that and respect those wishes. One day maybe we'll become a community with all of those things when the community changes, but it's certainly not today. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I had one little part at the end of my introductory remarks. I think our bumpy roads need a great deal of work so that driving on them is a smooth, comfortable experience. If elected, I'll see that it's done and will insist upon cost-effective efficiency from the road department and every other city department as well. No more wrecking the road and leaving it that way for months on end with the road crew strangely absent much of the time. Yes, the roads are in terrible shape. I have a couple of tires on my passenger car that I got for very little money. They're kind of hard. The guy warned me that after 3 years, the tires they have go bad. And so I feel every friggin' bump in this town. And believe you me, especially those ones down there at the main intersection on Lake Havasu Avenue, where we have that wonderful logo on the street. Boom, 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 you know. Geez, could they have made that flush? And some of these manhole covers, same thing. The gas lines across the street, can't they be made to make those patches professionally? So there's no bump when you go over them. The streets are in terrible shape. Obviously the money's going somewhere else. Why we have money for wayfinding signs, I'm not sure. As far as curbs, they don't put the curbs in until the street's as wide as it's ever going to be. You know how the city property goes way up onto your lot? Well, they intend to widen all the roads someday, like they did on Cherry Tree. Move all those mailboxes back. We're widening the road. I live up in the southeast foothills. Terrible problems when the heavy rain, when the water comes washing down. So, we just took care of it ourselves. I finally was able to get my neighbors to follow my example, and put a bunch of rock there by the pavement and build your own curb out of big rock. Works great. You don't have to wait for the city. It's the city property, yeah. But that's the kind of background I bring to the table. Do it yourself. Don't wait for the city. to get around with all the bureaucracy and the kind of stuff the mayor was just talking about, you know. It's like, huh, well, I'm glad you know all that stuff, Mark, but, you know, if you need a curb for the heavy rains, do it yourself. I recommend it. Good exercise, too.
You know, I look at the budget and the debt situation we have, and I gotta come back to this burden we carry. This little town passed the largest municipal revenue bond in the history of Arizona when it did the sewer bond. And we carry a debt load that's 2.5 to 3 times that of a normal town. And until we clear away a bit of that debt, we're never going to function normally. You look at the burden of our overwhelmingly senior citizen population, and I don't think they're in a position to pay more taxes for increased services. MCC, in the article today in the paper, twice, 3 times now, a major article 3 weeks ago, have elected to pay down their bond debts. And in doing so, they have created a savings of hundreds of thousands of dollars of interest, not to mention the principal they don't have to pay. And in doing so, they are creating budget space, or money to use on their primary mission, which that of serving the educational needs of our community. I'm inclined to propose looking at all of the resources we have. The reserve funds, as MCC is doing, very conservative approach to budgeting. And they're paying their bonds down. The objective is to unload the interest burden that is there on the college and to free up budget space for other priorities than paying debt, than paying principal and paying interest. Not a bad conservative budgeting philosophy for city government. That's my, that'd be one of my primary objectives, pay down the debt.